Imagine this. You are literally the universe's absolute ultimate godslayer. We're diving right into this explainer with a guy named Lee Changyan. He's a mortal who became so insanely powerful on the planet Arcadia that he slaughtered greedy gods by the millions just to protect Earth. But what happens when the deadliest entity in the entire universe gets captured, put on trial, and faces complete annihilation? Well, he's about to get massively nerfed, and his hero's journey is going to completely restart from scratch.
So, to avoid total erasure, Lee makes a desperate deal in hell with the god Thanos. The mission? Hunt down the Arcadian gods invading Earth. The catch? He has to regress. He wakes up completely stripped of his godlike status, back in his original weak human body. He opens his eyes and finds himself smack in the middle of a tutorial level called the Rosewood Forest Instant Dungeon. He is essentially level 1 all over again, surrounded by panicking ordinary people and equipped with absolutely nothing.
I mean, just look at this starting build. Level 0, Strength 1, 0 magic power. For a former Godslayer, it's a humiliating baseline. It is literally like playing on the absolute worst nightmare mode. But contrasting perfectly with those terrible physical stats are his hidden, overpowered authority skills. Soul Extraction allows him to extract karma and heal by burning the souls of his enemies, and Executioner's Sword, it literally lets him steal the authority of gods who break the rules. He might be physically weak right now, but he is armed with cosmic-level hacks.
And he doesn't waste a single second. Lee completely breaks the game's normal progression. Armed with just a rusted dagger, he instantly begins slaughtering Black Mambas, using all his past combat experience. By level 6, he's wiping them out so fast he earns a unique title. And then, completely ignoring the normal progression curve, he initiates a solo raid on the level 10 Bloody Mamba boss. His rapid, violent ascent immediately catches the eye of the higher dimensional beings broadcasting this dungeon.
Because yes, the gods are watching. It's like a cosmic Twitch chat. As Lee dismantles the dungeon, a gallery of deities start placing bets on him. You've got Pablasog, the goddess of war, the righteous owl that pierces the twilight, the cunning snake that wraps around the world, and even Mephistopheles, a terrifying great demon. Pablasog in particular drops an evil dragon dagger into the dungeon, placing a deadly bet with Lee. Kill the boss solo in 30 minutes, or she kills him herself.
The contrast here is honestly almost comical. While ordinary players are practically paralyzed and weeping in the safe zone, begging to go home, Lee is out in the jungle treating this apocalyptic nightmare like his own personal playground. He's casually making lethal wagers with gods because he knows he has to win the goddess's bet to claim that overpowered dagger.
But how do you beat a boss meant for a whole team of level 20s? Sheer, brilliant strategy. Since his preferred Berserker class isn't available, Lee pivots to the secret Runekeeper class. He immediately dumps all his newly earned stat points straight into intelligence and will. Then, in a 300 IQ, mid-battle move, he dodges the giant snake, uses its own blood as ink, and engraves a rune of explosion right onto his weapon. It's an absolute masterclass in exploiting game mechanics, and he blows the boss to pieces.
Defeating the boss isn't the only challenge in this tutorial, though. A traitorous player named John Chung tries to sacrifice his own team for demonic power. Lee brutally intercepts this, turns the tables, and absorbs John's life force instead. Impressed by this ruthlessness, the great demon Mephistopheles offers Lee a dark gift of massive magic power. Shockingly, Lee outright rejects the Demon Lord, basically stating he doesn't trust anyone who hides behind an alias. He claims his own path, asserting dominance over the very gods trying to sponsor him.
With the tutorial cleared, Lee finally returns to Earth. Now to the rest of the world, he was just missing inside a sudden gate for a few days. But for Lee, it's been 100 years of non-stop blood and war. He returns to his estranged family and soul, carrying the heavy, crushing psychological weight of a hardened veteran stepping back into a mundane, everyday living room.
We all know that feeling of wanting to make our parents proud, right? Well, for Lee, the realization hits him like a truck. In his past life, before Arcadia, he was a massive disappointment. His family had been frantically searching hospitals, terrified he was dead. Over a simple bowl of kimchi stew, amidst his father's harsh, emotionally charged scolding, Lee makes a silent vow right there. He's going to clean up his act, become a proper adult, and protect his family as a top-tier player. But protecting his family means dealing with the threats native to Earth. His primary target becomes the White Tiger Clan, literally the #1 guild in Korea.
Why? Because their divine patron is the Void Monarch, one of the exact gods who laughed at Lee during his execution trial. Knowing he can't fight a massive clan head-on at his current level, Lee declares a one-man shadow war. His strategy is methodical. Operate in the shadows and slowly sever the monarch's limbs, his resources and allies one by one.
Now, to gear up for this war, Lee needs a hardcore physical transformation. He goes to a secluded spot at the Han River Park and intentionally consumes 5 different, incredibly deadly monster poisons, including a plague spider's venom gland. He just lets these toxins invade his major organs. It is agonizing, but it forces his body to adapt, acting as the ultimate catalyst to awaken the ancient fire of the 8 trigrams, an everlasting purifying fire that permanently burns inside his heart.
And the payoff for this sheer agony is insane. He hits level 20, gains absolute immunity to 10 deadly poisons, and commands that 8 trigrams fire, alongside a lethal new skill called Blood Poison. He is no longer just a talented rookie anymore. He's effectively a walking biological weapon, fully prepped to hunt the gods' followers in the mundane world.
But hey, biological weapons still need blades, right? Lee tracks down a supposedly blind, retired blacksmith, easily seeing past the old man's disguise to hire a true master. He pays him to forge his accumulated monster loot into custom, deadly weapons. Fully armed and dangerous, Lee dives straight into a high-level hidden instance dungeon known as Best's Tomb, completely bypassing all the massive guilds that have been desperately trying to crack it.
To gain true power in this tomb, he gets pulled into the Changi Cave trial. This isn't just a fight. It's a grueling labyrinth where he literally has to face his bottomless fears. He must survive 9 floors swarming with twisted, hateful souls. We're talking enduring 6 hours of relentless, bloody combat every single day, trapped in a brutal 24-hour time loop reset cycle until he can finally shatter the curse and face the dungeon's master.
At the end of that nightmare labyrinth awaits Jin Frisia, the proud and demonic Crimson Murder King. But Lee, channeling the raw aura of a feral tiger alongside his dual blades, completely breaks him. And here is the craziest twist. Instead of just killing the boss, Lee dominates the Crimson Murder King so thoroughly that Jin willingly strips his own title and is reborn as Lee's loyal shadow follower. He literally turns a raid boss into his own personal attack dog.
And Lee doesn't even stop there to catch his breath. He immediately crashes the Winter Palace raid. Entering this freezing domain where massive veteran teams are completely failing against an abominable snowman general, Lee just plummets from the sky in pure cinematic fashion, scorching the general with hellfire. By defeating the master of this domain, he absorbs an immense amount of extreme cold magic.
This creates a seemingly impossible physical evolution, the Flamed Heart and Frost Crest. He achieves a perfect internal balance of raging fire and absolute zero ice magic. This grants him the Reinforced Bone trait, making him ridiculously resistant to pain, fatigue, and physical harm. His unstoppable body is so incredibly unique that major constellations, those godlike sponsors broadcasting these trials, literally freeze in absolute awe of his potential.
Building up to the climax here, Lee's ambitions stretch even further. To challenge the true powers of the universe, he journeys to the giant's realm, Rauren. His goal is to claim the ultimate legendary weapon, Levantine. But there is a massive catch. The weapon decrees that it can only be wielded by a true giant. And Lee? He's a human soul in a human body.
So, what does he do? Something absolutely unhinged. He forces his body through an agonizing 2-stage shedding process. By absorbing extreme heat and the blood of a fallen giant, he literally peels off his human limits. First is the bone metamorphosis, violently shattering and reforming his skeleton. Then comes the skin metamorphosis. He is reborn, not as a human, but as a being fully capable of wielding the crushing power of hellfire and giant strength.
Now possessing the towering power of a giant, Lee teams up with an ally named Magnus and arrives at the final gate. Standing in their way is Shinmura, the terrifying 3-headed guardian who predicts the exact fate of all souls. But seriously, what fate can you possibly predict for a man who has already died, completely escaped the cycle of reincarnation, and vowed to slaughter the gods themselves? That is exactly where we have to leave off for now. Thank you so much for joining this explainer, and definitely stay tuned to see how Lee shatters destiny itself next time.